courthouse makes transfers on a semi-regular basis to move monies around because it's just the nature of the business to be able to do the job.
I was basing it on the 2020 budgeted amount, and the 2022 budgeted amount is a difference of $28,000 less.
I understand.
So whether or not it's been utilized, I don't know, I wasn't the clerk, I didn't make the 2020 budget. I don't know, I didn't make that budget. And 95% of the expenses were already paid before I took over in October of 2020.
Right, and that's why I was asking,
So
how
I
long
don't-
you've been here, so, I mean, because it's relevant to this. But to say that it's cut, when budgets aren't utilized, it's not good practice to just leave unbudgeted funds in accounts. Every single department is asked to transfer within that, to meet that.
And if I felt comfortable transferring it from something else, I just don't know what I'm gonna transfer it out of.
Well, you have 55% budget utilization on $100,000 budget.
And I've got,
55,000.
I've got ballots that are gonna be coming in that are gonna come out very quickly. That, the support line, the election
There we
support
go.
line is going to substantially come down in the next 2 to 3 weeks, because that's when all the ballots and stuff will be paid for.
So you don't know what that number is?
You will never know what the number is until you get the ballots. I don't know what the amount is that I will owe.
So the legal fees line right now has $4,000.
Correct. And one of the bills was almost 8,000, or 7,000 something. One of the bills that I was submitted was 5,000 something, and then the second one submitted to the court was 6,000 and something. So I don't know which bill is correct. I've sent 4 emails and contacted the attorney's office 4 times.
So even if you add this $2,050 to 4,000,
It will cover, I believe, the highest number. I think
I guess
I've got some that I can kick over there if I need to.
okay. So
Maybe.
if the bill's $8,000,
I'm sorry.
that would be the
I'm
highest
going
number,
off
right?
memory. I don't remember. I just know whatever we asked for, Beth looked at it with me, and this was the most money that I would need is the 2,050.
I told her to go high, because you guys could cut it, if she knew what the bill was going to be at this time, but she does not know.
I know.
Correct.
Correct.
So you just state that you could transfer some in at some point.
I
When
probably
everything-
have, in clerical, I can probably transfer some into that.
Okay. When it's all said and done.
When it's all
the
said,
dust
yes.
clears, you do have some available to transfer in.
Potentially, yes.
This is
Yes.
just an amount above and beyond what it,
She's not talking about 4 different invoices
No.
or to add together to pay. She's
No.
just saying that there are 3, maybe, I don't know. They were all different. Other people received them. She doesn't know which one is really correct, and she can't get an answer. That's why.
And I don't wanna pay one and it not be the right amount. I wanna make sure what I'm paying is the correct amount.
So you only spent 4,000 of the 13,300 that was allocated in that clerical line. So
In the primaries.
so you're suggesting you're gonna have more come out of that, but you don't know how much?
Right. I've transferred some of that into my election support line already because of those costs going up. So I'm trying to utilize myself more and not have outside people coming in drawing from that clerical line. So I'm working 12-hour days to do the job that I would have someone else coming in to do that's getting paid. I'm absorbing that myself to keep that line, to keep money from coming out of there in case I need it for the other lines. I mean, if I'm gonna mail something out to the citizens, I'm gonna need $5,600 back in that line, because I can't imagine the general is gonna be less than the primary. It's gonna be the same number of households.
Okay, so add 5,600 to the 44 you already spent. that's 10 grand, right? And there's 13.3 in the line,
in the printing.
no, in the clerical.
Well, I mean, some of that, I mean, I have clerical workers. I'm just saying I can utilize the money that I'm not spending right now. I'm saving that money in case I need to put it into another line that I'm going to be required to send something. Otherwise, there's not gonna be a mailer for the prime, or for the general. Cause I don't have enough in that line item currently to send out any mailers. Again, not knowing that that cost was going to go up almost double. I would have had no way to budget that. In my original budget for 2022, I did ask for a 2% increase in certain line items. And you did not vote for that. So, not that that would have helped that much, but it would have helped some, maybe. But the legal line item, that was the one that hurt me the most. You're right, we've never used that line item. I mean, I don't have any control over someone filing the civil tort unless, having to hire an attorney, and Scott can attest to that. I mean, I feel like that's gonna be more prevalent though, moving forward. There's lots of people out there that are attacking the elections, so. I answered.
Okay.
It just seems to me that this is a court case that has not been normal for the last several years that we've had, so.
Well,
Pretty
as long as I've
budget.
been here, this line has never been used, and that's what we talked about last budget cycle, was there's no reason to put that in there if it's never been used.
Correct.
I mean, but to this year, I mean, like any other department that came in here, I would hope, we would say, transfer first. If there's a problem, we'll do an additional close to the end of the year. But I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that we're treating this differently.
I mean, $2,000 is not a lot to find to transfer. It's a pretty small amount, even if you have to divide it up over a couple of lines.
What she just said was she's working 12-hour days to keep overtime down, and, you know, I don't like hearing that personally as a council member, that she's gotta work 12-hour days to keep money down, because she's worried we're not gonna appropriate enough money for her to.
I did not hear her say that.
She did say that overtime. Yeah, I mean, she did say she was working 12-hour days, but she doesn't give overtime. You won't allow us to have overtime. So
So that's another issue.
they get comp time, which the girls do get.
Right, but I'm talking the election people that come in. We're
Right. She's
doing,
talking about outsiders.
yeah. We're doing what I would normally have someone in the office right now doing. I'm doing.
And the reason you're not using somebody in the office.
I'm hoping to keep that line item down, so if I need to use that money later in the year to transfer somewhere else, I've got some buffer. I don't have to come back
It
and
seems
ask
like
for
you're
any more
doing
money.
your part to keep this budget down. I mean, you're working your tail off to do it.
I mean,
is what
I'm
I'm
trying
hearing.
to
And then
trying
we're
to be
trying
responsible with the money.
And we're trying to kind of micromanage what you're doing. It just don't seem right to me.
This is the exact opposite of micromanagement. This is to say, this is the amount of money you have to run an office, spend it how you're gonna spend it, transfer it amongst the lines, prioritize like anybody else would do with the household budget. You're gonna prioritize certain activities on this amount of money.
It's literally the function of a budget.
Yeah,
Well, we cut $10,000 off our budget.
that's just.
So, you know, I call the question.
Okay, any discussions of the course?
How do we, okay,
We have
What?
a motion and a second on the.
when you do get billed, can I ask this question? When you do get billed, what's the time frame that you have then to process that bill, arrange the funding, and pay it? Because you don't even have a bill at this point, right?
When I get the bill, I will immediately draw up a claim and take it. I don't sit on my claims.
No,
The
I'm
day
asking-
I get the claim is the day I turn the claim in.
Okay, that's fair, I appreciate that. What I'm
That's-
asking is, what is the expectation on the collector for us to pay the bill? How much time do we have then to come back and say, okay,
The-
here's the actual number?
The bill I received was 30 days remittance, so I had 30 days to remit.
Most everything's 30 days.
That's what my bill said. But again, like I said, they produced two different ones for the courts. So, and the judge hasn't ruled on either one of them. So,
We've got a motion and a second. Got a call for question. All those in favor, say
Well,
aye.
on point of order, I will state this for the third month in a row. A member cannot call for question and stop debate on any motion. And if we need to ratify that right now as an organization, that's fine. But let me give you an example. I can make a motion and another member second it to spend every dollar that the county has and then instantly call for question and expect a vote. That is unreasonable for this body to behave in that way. So like, if
The
we.
president can call.
Do you feel?
No, I disagree with that.
Well, that's what our council said.
I disagree with that.
Well, you're wrong.
Do you feel?
Where do
there's
you
not-
get the authority?
Where do you?
Where do you get
Guys.
the authority to call for question?
Okay,
Okay, let's,
we're done.
No,
Yeah,
you don't get the.
yes, we are.
I'm gonna, I know I don't have a dog in this fight, but someone did ask Eric that. Yes, and he did say that he could do that.
He also said that this body can also make a local rule. If there's a difference of opinion, then we can make a local rule. And if that's what needs to happen, that's fine. But right now, how about I make a motion that we spend every dollar that the county has, and I get a second, and then say, call for question. Is that appropriate?
We could
He
vote
said call
against
for
it.
question.
That's what he did, call for question, call for the limit of debate. No single member should have the
Are
authority
you stating?
to limit the,
Are you stating that the last 15, 20 minutes hasn't been sufficient debate?
I'm saying that one person does not, that's your opinion. One person's opinion should not decide whether the amount of debate is appropriate. What I'm saying is that if you want to limit debate, then there should be a majority of the body that votes to limit debate. Not one single person should just say, call for question, and then say, oh yeah, that's fine.
I'm just asking a question. So are you saying that he shouldn't have said questioning, he should have said discussion?
The call for question is the end of the debate. That's the same thing.
How
There's-
about this, is there a motion to end debate?
I'm saying what I'm saying is that is the appropriate thing to do, is
Okay.
make a motion to end debate, not just say,
How about let's do
call for
that?
question.
Okay.
Make a motion to end debate. I wanna amend my motion to that, to make a motion to end debate on this.
We have a motion to end debate.
Second.
And a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-2.
Okay.
And the current, motion on the floor is to approve the $2,050 for legal fees. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion fails, tie vote 3-3. And I think, it's appropriate for me to say that, I do concur in the ability of every department in the county to transfer money. And once we get, I think this was a premature, request, because we don't know the amount that is gonna be needed. I certainly do think that every department in the county should be, frugal in being able to transfer money, and at some point, if in the future, we get to a point where we do need to make an additional into a line item that may have been utilized to transfer things into, then that's a bridge we cross at that point.
I'd like to be on record to say that she didn't file it thinking that she would not have that quote, the right quote. She thought she would have that, and she would know the correct amount. I just want that to be stated. It wasn't. And I think we also discussed trying to transfer when she was in my office.
Okay, very good. And brings us down to the recorder, Jenny?
As the recorder, I'm kind of the keeper of the elected officials training fund. In the past, I've asked for $3,500. There's been utilization between my office, the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, the surveyor's office, and the clerk's office hasn't utilized it much in the past because they had training in a line item in their budget. That line item, don't wanna say it wrong, was cut from her, part of her budget because she can participate in the elected officials training fund. So adding her in there this year, we're running short. There was $400 and some left in that line, and I know Beth still has a fall auditors, training. I know Donnie just went to some training, and so I'm asking for an additional $1,500 to cover what may come up between now and the end of the year. And in next year's budget, I've asked for $5,000 for that line and not $3,500. Last couple of years, we haven't used it because we didn't have conferences and things to go to. They were all online, so they weren't costing us the money. And this year, and they also did some legislation that changed that up a little bit, because now, we can pay for our mileage out of that budget. We can also pay for our, hotel rooms, our conference, and if we have like a first deputy or someone in our office that we think would benefit from going to a conference, they can go, and we can pay that out of that budget. Prior to that, that budget could just be used basically for the part of the state called meeting that the State Board of Accounts did, and it was only for that elected official in those departments. But since it's changed, and now we can utilize more money out of that to pay for our hotel and pay for our mileage and things like that, that's why the amount's gone up, and that's why we're sitting at a little over $400 right now.
It's not just the state board of accounts.
No, it's like AIC, those type of meetings that are state called, that, for training, because we as elected officials have to get so many hours of furthering education to be able to stay in the positions that we are, so that's why I'm asking for the additional $1,500. And like I said, next year I asked for $5,000 to be cut into that line for next year's budget, so we should be good
There's
next year.
a significant cash balance.
Yeah, I think there was like, 27,000 or something in there from last, when I saw it last, when I got the budget.
I'm going to approve the additional.
Second.
There's a motion. The additional $1,500 for the county elected officials training recorder. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
6-0. Okay, I do want to mention, some dates at the bottom of your agenda. Obviously, we're getting ready to head into budget discussion. Department head budget presentation, September 27th at 8 in the morning. The budget workshops scheduled the next day, 28th, 29th, and 30th, starting at 8 o'clock. Council meeting, department heads, budget decisions, October 5th. The adoption date, October 20th. And of course, the regular October council meeting, October 20th at 10. Anything from the audience concerning the council? Yes, Jack.
I just want to mention something for clarification. I was looking it up. According to Robert's Rules of Order, a person, in order to call for the question, has to be recognized as having the floor. Which also means when anybody talks, they're supposed to be recognized instead of cutting off somebody, but that's another thing. And then, so, as long as he's given the floor, he can call the question. And then it's, like you did, the question should always be voted on, and then voting on the motion. Calling the question doesn't automatically close debate, it calls for a vote to end the debate. So, but anybody can call the question, it's just, they have to have the floor,
Has to be followed
and then
up
there
with a
has to be
motion.
followed by a vote.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else for the good of the council?
Yeah, I have a, issue I want to bring up. I understand we're down several, deputies and jailers at our, sheriff's department, and I wondered, Tobe, if you might consider addressing, what's going on in the county as far as, the city, I've heard the city's raising their, pay to beginning officers to, was it 54,000 or, I don't know the numbers, so I was wondering about that.
I guess, first of all, I wanted to address this during the budget process, but since it's been brought up here this morning, yes, I guess, and I think some of the documentation of the budget process that I've offered is included in what you're discussing. I guess I'll go straight to the numbers as I remember them. Currently, as it stands, a probationary sheriff's merit deputy begins at $45,200 salary. I can't remember the hourly rate off the top of my head through the salary ordinance. Delphi is currently paying their probation officers a little over $51,000 starting. And then Flora is, they pay their officers on a weekly basis, and that amount, if I remember correctly, is $1,033. Of course, these are all gross numbers. And so, the concern, we're currently down 2 sheriff's deputies and 2 jail staff officers. Jail staff is currently at $17.12 starting per hour, for jail staff. And after 6 months, that goes up to $17.61. So, one of our deputies that recently left, did so in going to the private sector, has left, law enforcement, except he's still involved with Burlington, but he's left the county and moved into the private sector. And then, I'm still, actively trying to fill our vacancy from the lawsuit that we made in January. So, part of the attraction, as with many employers, is money. I'll cut to the chase. And, I guess my concern moving forward is that we are competing against even, agencies within our county, obviously. I've heard rumor, I've not talked to the deputy directly about it, that one of our deputies is looking to potentially go to Delphi, moving forward in '23. The information I'm receiving is Delphi's gonna bump their officers, starting officers, up to $54,000 salary. And then Florida's very close to that at, roughly $53,700. So, we're almost just short of $10,000 difference within the county. It's attractive to our young officers. So, as sheriff, I guess that then leads into my concerns of less resources, less protection in the county. And actually more work for those that do remain. So, I guess I would, respectfully, ask this group to have serious deliberation when it comes time, to at least getting us very, close to these other agencies. I know there's only so much money to work with, but I have some real concerns of the future of at least the county agency from salary amounts.
How's your recruiting going? You got anything much in the pipeline?
That's the good news to this aspect, Paul. Recently, when I advertised, we came up with 13 deputy applicants. We're currently down to, in the process, we're down to 5 of those 13. So for a small county such as ours, I'm enthusiastic with 5, you know. Jail staff wise, it's hit and miss, do a lot of advertising and, you know, it's just very random and jailers are even leaving for more money. You know, the most recent one I know is actually going to work for a local farmer who offered him more hourly money. So, you know, so anyway, as far as recruitment aspect, I'm seeing, I guess I'll say nationwide, and I've talked to other sheriffs and police administrators throughout the state, that we're all seeing a slight uptick as far as individuals wanting to apply for our profession. It's slow and going, but we're starting to see a rebound involving applications in our business, so.
What's our current census, if I may? What's our current census?
At the jail, good question, because, and that's an issue actually I'm gonna be addressing with commissioners on Monday. We, this morning, are at 40 in-house and 11 in White County, so our total is 51.
That's increased with the out of county, I mean.
Yeah, because
that's what
White
this is
County,
about too.
I guess to speak to that, White County opened their doors to us again.
Okay.
So, good and bad news, obviously, that's Carroll County money going out the door, but it alleviates some of the tension within our own facility, so.
If we were to have, just say like a $51,000 group, if we match that with Delphi, would that, to your opinion, would we be able to have more than 1 or 2 police officers on in the county anytime of the night? 'Cause I know a lot of times over evening, there's only 1 or 2 police officers on.
Right. As it currently stands, Ethan, that's more of, I guess I would say, an administrative question as far as scheduling goes. And as it currently stands, our deputies work 12-hour shifts. And so with our numbers, I think the only way, hoping that once we have all the gaps filled, there will be opportunities, particularly toward the end of the week, any given week, where we will have 3 sheriff's deputies on per evening shift and overnight shift. So part of it is being able to fill the vacancies and get the manpower back up again. And then part of it is, you know, maybe taking a look at our scheduling again.
Sure.
So, I don't think funding is an issue there, it's just a matter of adjusting the schedule.
So I have a question for you on just logistics. Our many of our deputies moonlight at other
Right.
municipalities. Have we ever excuse me. Have we ever entertained part-time positions or people that their primary job is at other government entities to moonlight and take a shift here in a similar capacity?
Good question, Josh. Actually, in past years, at least my 30-plus years with the department, a lot of that always fell back on the reserve deputy program and asking reserve deputies to fill those slots, but unfortunately, we're in that lull. We have a low number. I only have 4 current active reserve deputies, and we're budgeted for 10. And so, I think it falls back on the recruitment aspect of it. But to answer your question, I personally, since I've been in office, no, I've never approached that idea because again, of the aspect of having reserve deputies fill some of the vacancy.
Curious.
Sure.
I've heard that Marion County went to they took the city of Indianapolis and then they took the county and they put the 2 together. It's right now, we've got Floro deputies, we've got Delphi, city of Delphi, and now we got county. Have you ever looked into the idea of like one police force where you could send, you know, the Delphi officer rather than, you know, we'd have more you know.
In essence, just one sheriff's
big
office
force,
covering
one big
the whole
sheriff's
county. I know Beth, back in the day, can probably remember this, there was a program that, I'm gonna say even back in the nineties, as I remember it, a program called Unigov.
Yeah.
And the aspect of basically making a county all one sheriff's office that covered the whole county. And at the time, I remember, I think part of what we get into, and this is just strictly my opinion, is the various, whether it be Flora or Delphi, I think those governmental entities want their identity, so to say. And so that's why maybe that's never happened. I like the idea, I'll be straightforward with it, I definitely like the idea.
did it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I like the idea of having one big sheriff's office covering the whole county. And it may be a cost
We'll get
savings,
that
I don't
done.
know. I'm short term, so I don't know if that'll happen, Paul.
What about overtime shifts? Do we need to add, you know, overtime shift to cover?
I guess what I'll speak to there, it kind of goes back to Josh's question, you know, as he indicated, you know, many of our deputies serve other agencies. And so I have seen, I guess from a psychological standpoint, I think it probably speaks to any one of us, after a while you get burned out and you don't want to work anymore, you want a day or two to relax.
Okay.
And so for me to, and I have done it before, where I put out a blanket email to our enforcement group, said, hey, I've got a gap here with somebody covered, and knowing that they would be paid overtime. Some have it accepted, some have not, so it's not always consistent, and honestly, I think what it boils down to is they wanna stay home with their families and relax, you know, 1 or 2 days a week.
Makes sense. Yeah. Well, I think Josh had a good point, you know, the part-time thing, I mean, it just seems like, you know, maybe there's somebody who works at a factory, but they want a little change on the weekends, you know, and you know, the question is, you know, could you get them trained up and put them on the road?
And I guess, you know, it's, I'm glad you brought up the word training, because, you know, going back to the issue of increasing salaries, you know, I don't like the aspect that, and again, I know other counties and municipalities are up against this as well, but, you know, we invest thousands, you know, into each individual for training and required training. And so, you know, and I guess I just thought of this, we actually just lost, almost lost the deputy to Monticello, very close to us here.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I wanna keep the money here. I wanna keep the resources here. We've got a great group, in my opinion, and,
I don't wanna lose them.
I wanna keep them here.
We don't either up here on this end of things.
Yeah.
And you tell us what it's gonna take to keep them. I mean, don't be shy about it. I mean, you know, the one, I know that's scary, but
Yeah.
bring it to us and let us know, because,
Now, the way I had it figured initially, but when I submitted the 23 budget, at the time, looking at the numbers, I had 13 or 14% in mind. That was just to get us caught up to Flora and Delphi for 22, not 23, but 22.
good job.
But more than likely, again, as I've heard, that's gonna, you know, increase for 23 in both the town of Flora and the city of Delphi. And I realized, so what I guess my conservative thinking was, I'll ask for the 10%, because nothing personal, but I didn't feel confident that 13 or 14% would even be gained. So that's why I had put in for 10%, but I'm open discussion about trying to at least get us on par with Delphi and Flora.
Good. Bring it up. I mean, you just did. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anything else for the good of the council?
Just a reminder, I will not be here next month on the 20th, so that's October 20th, I cannot be here.
Pardon?
I was just looking, the next week is my conference, if you wanted to change it. I won't be here,
Yeah, I will be. I just won't be here that third week in October. We're out that week.
So you're saying move it to the 20th?
I'm not asking to move it.
No, that does.
No, I'm just saying, if you wanted to move it, I am off on the 27th at conference.
Oh.
So you'd have to move it up, if anything. Or,
I can't be here the week before.
Okay,
Taking a motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
I do.
And a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Josh, at 1 o'clock or 2, or 1:30 meeting? He changed it.
No, I think
It's 1:30, okay.
it
Thank
was
you.
11.
Okay, thank you. Better hurry. Don't wanna miss lunch, gotcha.
I won't be here Monday for the commissioners meeting, so make sure you get a good report.
Okay.
Good news is you get to spend like 4 days with me.
I know. Why do you think I was trying to move you?
Be gone with you.